What's going on, folks? I'm gonna show you how you would be bending a pipe. A lot of times, say you're working on your vehicle and you have a certain hose or something like that that you need to actually replace. Sometimes it can be very hard for you to find like these pipes that is exactly bent to the specifications that you may need, say, to go on to your vehicle. Like, for example, I was working on a motorcycle and it was kind of old, so the pipes that came on it was super hard for me to actually find the pipes that I needed for it, the actual hoses. So what I decided to do was just go ahead and buy just some standard pipe hose. You want to make sure you get the correct type hose. If, for example, say you're working on your radiator, you want to make sure that you get hoses that are meant to hold, say, hot fluids that is going to go through that actual hose. And say, for example, if you're working on your a fuel line, a fuel hose, is going to have gasoline inside of it. Then you want to make sure that you get the type of hose that is that's made to deal with the gasoline, pretty much. So if you was to have this problem and you need to pretty much create your own hose with its own bends that's inside of it, what you would need to do is go ahead and get you the size hose that you need and the right type of hose that you need. And then after that, what you would be doing is you would need to get you a heat gun. These heat guns are pretty cheap to get. You can pick one up at Harbor Freight. You can get one from Amazon, anywhere online pretty much. They may run you anywhere between, let's say, $15.99 and $40 pretty much. So you would want to get you a heat gun. And also what you're going to want to have is you can get you some of these copper pipe benders. These are basically what you would use right here to bend copper pipe to a certain specification for your copper pipe, because as you can see, you can bend it and it maintains an opening in the middle of it. Because say, for example, I was trying to bend this hose right here to shape it, say, as a U, like that. If you can see, when I bend it, it's going to collapse in the middle like that. So therefore, that's not going to be any good, because whatever fluids is going through here, it's not going to go through correctly, because it collapsed in the middle when I bent it. So that's where having these copper pipe benders right here will come in handy at. So a lot of times you get you, once again, like a little set of these copper pipe benders, and all you would need to do is take the right size. As you can see, there's multiple different sizes that's inside of here. So whatever size pipe that you have, you would want to go ahead and take your copper pipe bender. Like, say, for this one right here, this size right here looks pretty good. So I will stick this through this pipe just like that. See how I did it? And once I have that in there, now watch what happens when I bend the pipe. See how when I'm bending it, it's not collapsing. It's still maintaining the opening that's inside of this pipe. So therefore, I can bend it up how much I need to. And then the next thing I'm going to want to do is keep it to this shape. And that's where my heat gun comes into play. So once I pretty much have found, the correct size of the copper pipe bender, I can basically then take this kind of springy and stick it through. Like I said, you want to get the correct size, because say you use one that's too small, like I was to use this one. Once I put it inside of here, as you can see, when I bend it, it's still going to be collapsing pretty much. It's not all the way collapsed, but it's going to be collapsing because that's kind of small. So you want to get one that kind of matches with the size of the pipe that you're going to be bending. So for this one, it'll be this size right here. I guess I will stick this inside of here all the way through. Once I get it done like it, I'm done. And also what you can do is you want to take something that you can use to hold your pipe in a shape that you want while you're actually heating it up. Because once you put the heat onto this pipe like this, it's going to basically heat up this hose. It's going to cause the hose to basically become softer. And then once you have it in that shape and you take the heat off of it, it's going to basically harden up again. But this time it should stay into the shape that you want it to be in. So right now this is kind of like a straight pipe. And what I want to do is make this pipe be almost bent like this, almost into like a U, like that, like basically like a U. So what I'm going to do is stick the copper pipe bender inside of it. Then once I've done that, what I'm going to want to do is go ahead. I took this, I'm using just all I'm doing right here, I just took me basically a zip tie, and I've already put it to the height, the length that I need it to be, or rather I put it to the size I want this to be. So once I kind of figured that out, now what I'm going to do is, you want to make sure too, if you're using a zip tie, you get one that's not going to melt when you put the heat on it. But you see how I'm doing? I basically have already made this zip tie fit the right size, because you want to have your pipe to stay in the correct size that you need it to be. And now that I have this done right here, the next thing I'm going to want to do, you want to also make sure that you're using some type of a gloves that can deal with the heat, because these right here can get very hot and it can definitely burn you if you don't have some type of protective gloves on. So you want to make sure you have some type of protective gloves that you can wear to keep the heat from burning your hand. And also it may be helpful, like what I've been using is, take you a pair of tongs or something like that that you can basically hold it with. That way, what you're going to be doing is concentrating the heat on the bend right here. And that's what you want to heat up, this bend. And once you heat that bend up, then it should begin to make that soft right there. And then once you take the heat off of it, it'll harden up again, and it should keep this bend like that. So what I'm going to be doing now is, I'm going to take my heat gun. There's different type of heat guns. This one right here actually has the ability for me to just set it up just like that. I can set it up that way, then I can kind of take my hose like that over. I can pretty much take my hose just like that over top of it and kind of just go over top of it from one side. Then I'm going to want to turn to the other side and kind of heat it up and get the top of it and get underneath it also, just like that. And once I do that, you want to do it for a little while until it seems like it's getting softer. And then what you want to do is take it off, and you want to let it cool off pretty much. And once it cool off, then you can remove bender from out of it and see if it's a shape that you like. And of course, if it's not the shape that you like, then you could just go ahead and do it again until you get it to stay how you want it. Sometimes when you get done doing it, it may kind of open back up a little bit, so you may want to do it again pretty much. All right, I'm about to start now. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and turn on I turned on my heat gun. Like I said, make sure you're really careful with the heat gun, because it gets really hot. So once I have that, now what I'm doing is put this on top of it. And a lot of time you'll smell. So if you want to wear some type of a face cover or something like that so you don't breathe in that rubber smell basically. So I'm just wanting to heat it up. So of course, the hotter the temperature you have, the quicker that it's going to heat it up. So you want to do one side, and you want to turn around. Like I said, you want to just heat up that rubber hose. And like I said, if you're using a zip tie, you kind of want to keep the heat away from the zip ties, because you don't want to actually melt the zip ties onto it. That's why I have the zip tie down at the bottom. Now I'm going to do a little bit right here. Turn around this side. It may take you a few times to actually get your hose to stay with the bend that you actually want for it to have. So a lot of times, sometimes also if you want, you can get you like a bucket of cold water. So as soon as you get done, you can just drop it in that cold water. That way you kind of cool it off quicker versus having to wait for it just to cool down on its own. So it's probably what I'm going to do next, is just stick it inside of some cold water. And also you want to do this outside. You have a lot of fresh air. Alright, so what I have right here basically is just some cold water. And I just want to take it. I got this thing, I can use it kind of like a fishing pole and just dip it in there. And I'm just doing this basically just to cool it off quicker. Kind of dip it inside the water, cool it off. It'll make it much quicker versus waiting on it to basically you know, cool off on its own. So you get you some cold, you got some ice water or something like that with it. Dip it inside of there. And once you've done that, what you can normally do is, before you even pull the spring out of it, you could go ahead and take off you want to test. I got gloves on, so I'm not going to feel it, but pretty much it feels like it's not hot anymore. But I can do is just now squeeze it. That way I keep my zip tie at the same circumference that I want it to be, so just in case it's not all the way done yet, I can slide it right back in. So I can just squeeze it now like that and kind of take the zip tie off of it. Then I can look at it. You see, as you can see, it's kind of opening up a little bit, but for most part, you know, it's already staying in shape. So all I got to do now is just come in here, and I want to basically pull out my coil, pull out my copper wire thing, and as you can see now, I got a nice bend inside of it. So now if I had to put this on something, I now have a pipe that I can stick one end on this side and one end here. And of course, if I have to bend it a little bit more, it's not actually going to collapse itself anymore up here, because I use that to basically keep the pipe open. So this is just how you can pretty much customize whatever type of a hose that you would want. Now say this was a longer hose and I needed, say, this bend here, I needed a snake bend over here. Then I could bend it up again, take my zip tie, make it that height of it, make it that size I need, and then bend another bend inside of it. That way then, instead of searching around forever trying to find the correct bend inside of a pipe that I need for my vehicle, a motorcycle, a car, a boat, whatever, I could just pretty much just create the bend that I need. And that's all I need is just some of these. You could get these off of Amazon. There's some of these copper pipe benders, as well as a heat gun, and of course your pipe, and maybe some zip ties, and like I said, some protective gloves for your hand. You might want to also wear you like a face mask to cover up, so you don't want to breathe in the rubber that's coming from the hose pretty much. And once you do that, you'll be able to build your own custom pipes pretty much. All right folks, once again, this is how you would be making your own custom hoses for your vehicle or whatever you're working on, just in case you have a problem finding hoses that actually fit the way you need to. Sometimes you'll have like certain bends that's inside of them, and it could be expensive sometimes to buy those hoses that already has those bends. You may be able to get you a piece of pipe for $7 and cut a piece off of it and create it yourself, versus if you buy that hose already in the shape, it may cost you $35 or something like that sometimes. Or sometimes you just may have a problem even finding the pipe that you need. So, all right, please check out our other helpful videos. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.